Hi, my name is Nina Layden, and I am a children's book author and illustrator. And I am going to read my book, When Picasso Met Matisse, and then tell you a little bit about where I got the idea for the story. And then there's going to be a little bit of an activity where if you'd like to draw with me, you can. I wrote and illustrated When Picasso Met Matisse, and it came out in 1998. It's 22 years old right now, and it was published by Chronicle Books, and I am reading this book with permission from my publisher, Chronicle Books. And it goes like this. There once was a young pig named Picasso. While the other piglets rolled in the mud and played games, Picasso painted. And he painted anything and everything, and in a most unusual way. At the same time, there once was a young bull named Matisse. Matisse was not like the other bulls. He wasn't interested in bullfighting. Matisse was only happy when he painted, and he painted big, bold, bright pictures. In time, word of Picasso talent spread throughout the pig provinces. Soon, art-loving pigs from all over lined up to buy his creations. At the same time, Matisse was becoming famous in the cattle community. There weren't many households that didn't own a masterpiece. Picasso and Matisse were becoming art superstars, but this came with a price. Everyone wanted to see them. Art buyers, art sellers, art students, art historians, art groupies. It was an art attack. One day, Picasso got fed up and said, "I'm tired of this noisy pig pen." At the same time, Matisse declared, "Well, I'm sick of this crowded cow town." Needing a change, they both decided they needed to find a place where they could paint without distractions. So each of the two artists looked far and wide for the perfect spot. Picasso found a lovely farm looking towards the east. Matisse found a handsome farm facing the west. After Picasso moved in, he went to introduce himself to his new neighbor across the road. At the same time, Matisse went to introduce himself to his new neighbor across the road. That is how Matisse met Picasso, and coincidentally, that is how Picasso met Matisse. At first, Picasso and Matisse were friendly and welcomed each other as neighbors. But soon things began to change. It started one day when Picasso criticized one of Matisse's paintings. Then Matisse made fun of one of Picasso's. Matisse called Picasso a art hog. Then Picasso called Matisse a mad cow. Matisse quipped, "You paint like a 2-year-old." Picasso retorted, "You paint like a wild beast." Matisse quipped, "Your colors all look like mud." Picasso spat, "Your paintings look like color by numbers." Then things got really out of hand. It was a modern art mess. Picasso stormed off into his house. "That Matisse doesn't like my art? Well, I'll show him," he huffed. And Matisse bullied his way into his house. "I'll give that Picasso something he can really criticize," he snorted. Then a full-scale feud erupted, but it was a most unusual battle. Armed with ladders and buckets of paint, Matisse launched the first attack. He started at dawn. By the end of the evening, he had succeeded in transforming the outside of his house into a monster-sized masterpiece. Not to be outdone, Picasso fired up his paintbrushes in full view of the enemy and counterattacked. He turned his farm into a huge and outrageous pork of art. Then the two artists retreated into their houses and pulled down their shades. Picasso certainly didn't want to look out of his windows and stare at a Matisse, and Matisse had no desire to give his rooms a view of a Picasso. This presented a problem, and there seemed to be only one solution. Without a word to each other, Picasso and Matisse each began to build a huge wooden fence down the middle of the road. At first, Picasso and Matisse seemed satisfied. Both artists went back to painting by themselves. But after a while, Picasso was surprised to find that he missed that bull-headed Matisse. At the same time, Matisse found his studio empty without the presence of pig-headed Picasso. Picasso pondered, "That Matisse isn't such a bad artist. He has some interesting ideas. Matisse moaned, "That Picasso may not paint like me, but he knows what he's doing." However, being naturally pig-headed and bull-headed, neither artist knew how to apologize to each other. So they did what they knew how to do best. They let their paintbrushes do the talking. Picasso painted on one side of the fence. Matisse painted on the other side. Each worked until they were exhausted. It was strangely quiet when they were done. Then, curious to see what Matisse had been doing, Picasso sprinted around to the other side. At the same time, Matisse galloped over to Picasso's side. The silence was broken as the two artists began laughing at their amazing work of art. From that day on, Picasso and Matisse became great friends. They happily took down the fence and shared their different views. A few months later, a big museum came and bought the fence. Picasso called his side when Picasso met Matisse. Matisse called his side when Matisse met Picasso. The critics called it incredible. That is my story, When Picasso Met Matisse. And then in the back of the book, I have the true story of Picasso and Matisse. So this book is based on the true story of the artist Pablo Picasso and Henri Matisse. And they were rivals, but they did become friends. And in fact, they owned many of each other's works of art. And you can learn much more about them, of course, if you want to read this part of my book. You can also go to the library to learn about them or go online. And you can see their work online, but you can also see their work in different books. There's many wonderful books about the work of Pablo Picasso. And of course, there are many, many wonderful books about the work of Henri Matisse. And there's even this terrific book, which is called Matisse and Picasso, and it's by Harvard professor Yves-Alain Bois, who did an exhibit about Matisse and Picasso, a gentle rivalry together. Now, I want to talk to you a little bit about characters. When I worked on making my book, When Picasso Met Matisse, well, it was a lot of fun to paint this, first of all, because I got to use the styles that Picasso and Matisse painted in. And I knew that Picasso did a lot of something that's called cubism, where he broke things up and didn't put them in the right place. And when I was making my character of Picasso, well, I could have started off by making it the normal way, but it was really fun to play with his features and put things where you don't think they belong. I could just put his nose over here, and if I wanted to, I could stick an eye here, and maybe we'll put another eye over there. We'll put a hat there. Let's give him a mouth over here. Maybe we'll stick some ears. I'll put an ear here and then another ear right there. And, if I don't like it, I can change it in lots and lots of different ways. So we can just keep moving it until we're happy. And, Picasso is kind of flexible like that. Matisse is a little bit different because Henri Matisse painted things more the way they are, but loved to use very bright color. And when I was working on my book, When Picasso Met Matisse, I did some studies. And this is an early painting that I did when I was trying to figure out what Picasso and Matisse would look like. And as you can see in this picture, well, Picasso looks a little chubby. They look a little like, they're not so happy together. But the painting I finally did that became the cover looks exactly like this because this is the painting. This is the cover of When Picasso Met Matisse. And this is painted with paint that's called gouache, which is French tempera paint. And it's just painted with water and a brush. I also wanted to practice different styles of Picasso and Matisse. This is an early study also of some of the other pieces I did in the book. And just to do a fun, simple drawing activity right now, because I don't want to spend so much time on this, I am going to just show you how I like to turn a heart into Picasso and Matisse. And then if we want, we can paint and color it. And you are more than welcome to paint and draw all different characters in this style. You don't have to just do Picasso and Matisse. So since Picasso and Matisse became friends, I'm going to just start off by just drawing a big heart because they did become friends. And then what I'm going to do is on one side I'm going to make it into Pegaso, and the other side I'm going to make it into Matisse. And so let's see, I'm going to just draw Picasso's little artist beret here, and I'm going to give it a little curly cute tail like a pigtail. And let's see, I'm going to draw his nose, and I'm going to kind of make it sideways, and it looks like a kidney bean. I'm going to put some little dots in it and draw a little line for it. And then I'm going to draw one eye over here, and then I'm going to draw one eye over here. Here's his mouth. And here's an ear, draw an ear over here. I'll draw another ear over here. And then here is the bottom of his face. And I'm just going to draw a line down the middle, so because the other side's going to go to Matisse. And give him a little shirt and some stripes. And there's some of Picasso. Now I'm going to draw a little bit of Matisse. And Matisse is a little bit more normal. He's a bull. So I'm going to start off, and I'm just going to draw some hair here on the top. He's got some hair there. And I'm going to draw his horns. Here's one of his horns. There's the other horn. And then I'm going to draw, he's got glasses, so I'm going to just draw some eyes here. And then I'm going to connect them because these are glasses. And then I'm going to draw his nose. I'm going to draw little openings on his nose. I'm going to give him an ear over here, another ear over here, little mustache, his mouth, and then I'm going to give him a beard all the way around. And there, I have Picasso and Matisse next to each other. And if you have some paints at home, you can just have fun and you can paint. And you can do anything you want to your characters. And I'm just going to play around a little bit quickly here because we don't, I guess, have a lot of time. But at home you'll have much more time. And just have fun, okay? Play with your characters. And let's see, we're going to give Picasso a pink nose. And I'm going to just put some rosy cheeks here. And put some purple in his ears. And I'm going to give him a blue shirt. And as you can see, things don't take that long to play with, and you can have lots of fun any way you want and experiment, use different colors, and then come up with your own characters. Maybe you can do some other artist characters too. So, When Picasso Met Matisse, I hope you enjoyed it, and I will be doing some of my other books. And you can take my books out from the library, you can look for them online, you can buy them from Chronicle Books directly and other wonderful independent bookstores. Thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it.